Hey champions, it's Sunday. I hope you're having a great day. Yesterday, Bronson dropped his video of opening up a box of Jaelara second edition. And I think I really love his content because on one end, excuse me, on one end, he does a great job of uh, appreciating the product that's in front of him, giving support to uh, he primarily does flesh and blood content, so he gives a lot of support to that company. He's given us a lot of support and a lot of opportunity just to be on his channel and talk about Genesis, which is really, really cool. I'm going to leave a link in the description for both videos he did. His box opening, including an interview he did with me and Alex Miller, our lead game designer. And I really like his channel because he digs into things that other content creators aren't doing. And the other thing I really loved about his box opening is that he took a few moments to be critical, to be honest about the product, point out issues that we're doing, things that he doesn't like. He did point out some stuff that I'm happy he saw our perspective on it, especially when it comes to foils in the set. But overall, I think he has a good balance between giving opportunity, but at the same time being candid and honest with what's happening. Now, in his box, he opened up. I'm gonna give a little bit of spoil here, because I hope that doesn't ruin the excitement of watching his box opening, because there's a lot of cool things he talked about. So I still recommend going to watch it regardless. But he got his foil, and his foil was Flight. And I wanted to talk about Flight because I realized it's one of my, I think, one of my more favorite underappreciated cards. Like a lot of people don't look at this and see it for the strength that it is. So I'm going to be going over a few combos. These are combos a lot of people are aware of, but let's talk about them. Let's also talk about why I would recommend looking at putting in Flight into your deck, regardless if you're using these combos or not. So first, starting with the artwork, uh, Layla did a great job with converting this over. We had two art pieces done. The one from Beta, which, give me a second here. Let me see if I can put that up on screen. But a lot of people assumed that the artwork that was done in Beta was actually Nubia in that piece, but that's not the case. It was that art piece was actually done before the Nubia champion card was done. So there was no way that that could be Nubia, but it was very close to the way Damian kind of saw Nubia should be, and then brought that into the game. So let's transition that over. So you got the same kind of runes around her magical powers, but this isn't Nubia. You can tell by the clothing itself. It's not that the skin tone's different, and just the overall, like, there's a little details that are different. But we did leverage this concept and bring that over into the character for Nubia. All right, let's talk about the card Flight itself. So, Flight's 4T, which is great because it's a balancer card. The one thing that a lot of people kind of gloss over is this is one of the few cards that are actually a quick enchant. So the fact that it's swift speed that you can drop it means that you only need to spend the resource for this card when it's absolutely necessary. And I'll be coming back to that. But and then when you enchant yourself with it, you get the ability to move on to spots even if those spots are occupied. So let's look at the more common combos with this. The one that's most straightforward, the one a lot of people see right off the bat, is Flight with Dense Fog. And this is great because they're within the same affiliation, meaning any champion that can run Flight can also run Dense Fog. Dense Fog, when you enchant that onto yourself, it means that all spots are occupied that are not within something's awareness. So, for example, Nubia has the awareness of the spot right in front of her. That spot is unoccupied, but her left, right, and behind her, those are all occupied. And as for the rules of the game, when you're in your move phase and you're choosing, do you want to move or rotate? You have to first choose if you want to move, and then you choose if you want to rotate. This means if you want to move to your right, you have to use one of your steps in your move phase to first rotate. And then your second step in your move phase, you can move into that square and then rotate again. dense fog becomes really hard to navigate, and there's these little moments where you're constantly forgetting which spots are occupied, which spots are not. It does create a really interesting environment to try to kind of navigate around the arena. Now, the cool thing about dense fog, also for anyone who really dislikes the rain OTK, is that it instantly shuts down Rain's Living Shadow ability, because the Living Shadows only allows Rain to teleport to a spot that is not in someone's awareness. But since her Living Shadows ability is a move, she can only move to those spots if they're unoccupied. But dense fog occupies those spots, so Living Shadows gets completely shut down the moment dense fog hits the table. And then when you have flight out, you can still navigate the board as normal, and your opponent is hindered in everything they do. So this is a great combo to use. I've used it in a draft with Nubia really well, and then comboed it up by having Angel Retribution in that timeline. Because the Angel has flight, she also does not need to worry about where she's navigating across the board. Great combo right there. Another one that has been showing a lot of popularity in the past little while was Flight with Stampeding Force. Now, Stampeding Force, you deal damage whenever you move to a spot. You deal damage equal to the amount of Stampeding Forces you have to everything on, to a target on that spot. However, you normally can't move to a spot that's occupied, so flight kind of fixes that problem. The Stampeding Force stacks are really fun because it kind of plays like Mario jumping on Goombas. You get the opportunity to jump onto a spot, land there, and just deal a bunch of damage to whoever's there. So you just go around stomping on people. It's really, really cool, and I've had a lot of fun both playing with it and playing against it. This is traditionally actually seen as a Fong deck because it gives her the opportunity to start running into a lot of energy costing cards without hurting her timeline too much. And then she can start running jumps or leaps to do some extra damage from afar, and allowing her to move once, and then move once, move twice, hit a bunch of things, and then potentially turn around and bolt shot people. So a lot of great synergy there. Really, really fun cards. I would recommend, if you are looking for a fun combo deck to play with, this is probably one of my favorites straight off the bat. But let's go back to talking about flight on its own. So if you're looking at this, normally you'd probably gloss it over. If you're not running those combo decks, you have no reason to play this card. However, I still recommend, if you're playing a good fighter, someone like Fong or Raha, to look into running one or two of these straight off the bat. I would say Kun, but Kun has flight built in, so that's irrelevant. But if you're running Fong or Raha, the reason why this card is so powerful in that timeline is that it gives you the opportunity to move onto spots if your opponent is trying to block your path. So imagine your opponent's going first. They have the opportunity to take one step back and drop a summon between you and them. And because of that summon, you can't come in and do the finishing blow that you were planning to do. Well, at the end of your opponent's turn, you can now quick enchant flight onto yourself. Your opponent does not see that coming, so they can't play around it. And then you can now fly in and start doing your final attack. This is really great because it then stops your opponent's defensive strategies and really can give you the upper hand in certain situations. Now, the one part that I see people mess up with is playing flight during their main phase. I don't ever recommend playing flight during your main phase unless you absolutely need it at that moment, or it makes no difference if you play during your main because you're going to play it anyways. But the thing is, with champions like Raha and Fong, they have very little aura. So if you're spending 12 aura to play your flight, then you're potentially losing out on paying for other things in the future. So only pay for flight if you absolutely need it at that moment. Otherwise, I would say hold off on playing flight and potentially just don't play that entire game. It really comes down to what's happening in the situation around you. And yeah, I think that's about it. I think that covers everything I want to talk about flight. I think all in all, it's a great card. I think it was a really cool foil to pull because it's one of those cards that you might just run one of in your timeline. And if you are only running one, Flight's a really good foil version. It's a really good opportunity to kind of show that off. That's everything I have to say for today. I hope you have a great day. Jaelara second edition coming out on August 20th. I hope you're enjoying these box openings. Let me know in the comments below. How many of them have you seen? I know we've had 3 launched so far, and there's going to be a few more coming in the very short future. So keep following all those great content creators, and let me know what foil you're hoping to pull in a pack, and which videos have you seen thus far. That's it for today. Have a great day. I'll talk to you again tomorrow. Bye.